Ever found yourself staring at the wall of Walgreens supplements, like where do I even start? Or have you ever been tempted with those fertility supplement ads on your Facebook or Instagram feed? If you have, then watch this video before you go buying anything. Hey, I'm Whitney, registered dietitian and fertility coach, and I help busy women get out of the Google spiral and get pregnant. I've helped hundreds of women figure out their fertility so they can grow the family of their dreams. And in today's video, I'm going to be covering some of the issues that I see facing the supplement world today and 3 supplements I would recommend not taking if you're ready to get pregnant. Let's get into it. As always, this video is meant for educational purposes only and not meant to be a replacement for your medical provider's advice. Before we get started into the supplements I would not recommend, I want to talk a little bit about some of the issues that are facing the supplement world today and things that you need to know as a consumer. So at least here in the US, the supplement industry is like the wild, wild west. And the FDA has basically said, may the odds be ever in your favor. There's very little oversight, very little regulation. Manufacturers can pretty much bring whatever they want to the market, and unless someone blows a whistle on them, they get to keep producing it. Unless it's been shown to cause danger or harm to people, they can keep producing that product. And so as a consumer, you have to look past the beautiful imagery and the buzzwords that they use in these marketing campaigns and really dig into the product itself to determine if it's the right product for you, if it's got the right dosing, if they do the right testing, all of these different facets. And that's exactly why I'm making this video today, so that you know that you should have been told, but probably weren't. So let's get into it. The first supplement I would not recommend taking is something called Vitex, also known as Chase Tree Berry. You're gonna see this in a lot of fertility supplements that you can get about anywhere, online, over the counter. Online and over the counter are technically the same thing, but just different purchasing methods. Online and the pharmacy is what I meant. So you can find Vitex in a lot of fertility supplements or hormone regulating supplements, and sometimes even supplements meant for menopause. But in general, you see this a lot on the market, despite the warnings that I'm gonna tell you about. So Vitex is a really potent supplement. It helps raise your LH levels, which is your luteinizing hormone, which can increase your progesterone levels and also reduce your prolactin levels. And while this all sounds very good, it can create some issues if you haven't done the proper testing first. See, in some women, especially women who are dealing with something called polycystic ovarian syndrome, or PCOS as it's very popularly known, LH levels tend to be elevated all the time. So if you add a supplement like Vitex in there and it increases your LH levels even more, it can jack with your cycles even more, and it can reduce your chances of pregnancy even further, doing the exact opposite of what we're going for. I only recommend taking Vitex if you have done some proper testing with a knowledgeable healthcare provider first. If you want some progesterone testing tips or to know a little bit more about this, definitely check out this video I did before, my previous video on progesterone, where I talk about testing tips and how to raise your levels if they are low. The second supplement I do not recommend taking is something called DHEA, or dehydroepiandrosterone. Say that 5 times fast, right? A DHEA is an androgen hormone, and it's closely tied to, androgen means a male hormone. And while we as females require a good amount of androgen hormones, we don't need too much of it. DHEA is associated with follicle development and is closely tied to ovulation, and some studies have shown that it can improve IVF outcomes for egg quality and egg development, especially in women over 35, which sounds amazing, right? But as I said before, women need a good amount of androgen hormones, but if we get too much, it tends to be a problem. And DHEA is a powerful androgen hormone. And if we get too much, it can dysregulate our cycles. It can create more facial hair growth, acne, mood swings, anxiety. There's a lot of downsides to overdosing on DHEA. And this is exactly what happened to my client, Ashley. In preparation for her IVF cycle, she started taking 75 milligrams of DHEA a day at her doctor's recommendation based on these studies that I just told you about. And what she found is that her cycles were all funky. It didn't really improve her egg quality, but it did increase her anxiety and acne and mood swings. And so when we did some extra hormone testing and found that her DHEA levels, despite being over the age of 35, were pretty high. And when she was taking additional supplemental DHEA, it was overloading her system and actually backfiring on her fertility. And once we got her off that additional DHEA, her cycles came back down, her mood kind of stabilized, and the prep for her next cycle was much more effective. And the third supplement I would recommend not taking is diindolylmethane, or DIM. And this is another one that you're gonna see in a lot of hormone balancing supplements, especially ones that are marketed towards cycle regularity. DIM is in a lot of products, and I'm gonna tell you why I have some issues with that. But just a little bit of background, diindolylmethane is a metabolite of something called indole-3-carbinol, which is a compound found in cruciferous vegetables. So broccoli, Brussels sprouts, kale, things like the stinky vegetable, the vegetables that stink when you cook them, that sulfur smell is very good for your estrogen. Diindolylmethane can help stop something called aromatase, which is an enzyme that transfers or transforms testosterone into estrogen. And as we get stressed, our aromatase activity amps up, and DIM can help slow down that activity so that our body isn't overloaded with estrogen. The problem though is it helps reduce your estrogen whether your estrogen is high or low. And so if you haven't had proper testing done first and your estrogen is actually low, you start taking DIM, you will probably see your cycle just stop altogether because you don't have enough estrogen circulating in your system to ovulate. And this is exactly what happened to my client Paula. When we started working together, she fell for one of those Instagram ads. We all have done it. She ended up going on DIM about 6 months before we started to work together, and was tracking her cycle. She was a brilliant woman, and was tracking her cycles so meticulously and taking all her vitamins and doing everything she was supposed to. And her ovulation just seemed to get more and more delayed. First it was 14, she would ovulate on day 14, it got pushed to day 20, day 21. And then by the time she hired me, we were looking at like a 28-day ovulation. And that's not what we're looking for fertility. When we did her hormone testing, we found her estrogen levels were just bottomed out. They were in the menopausal range. And so the DIM that she was taking it was completely unnecessary. She did not have to take it at all. And once we got her off of that, about 2 months later, her cycles started to regulate again. And 2 months after her cycles came back to pretty much like a normal-ish, I would say 28 to 30 days, she ended up getting pregnant, and it was amazing. It was great. It was all great. I'd love to know in the comments, have you heard of any of these supplements? Have you taken these supplements, or are you taking something that you're not 100% sure about? I would love to know in the comments, and I'll help you out if I can. Drop a comment below. Manufacturers will add these ingredients to their products without any warning. And so if you're buying or thinking about buying with any of these products, I strongly recommend getting the right testing and working with a trained practitioner like myself before you add anything new to your routine. The supplement world really is like the wild, wild west, and the 3 supplements I talked about today are really just scratching the surface. If you want to dig into your own personalized quick start fertility plan, check out the link I've posted below and take the Find Your Fertile Path quiz so that you can focus on the fun of baby making and not the science. That's all for today. If you are a fellow food and fertility nerd, comment and subscribe for more of my fertility secrets, and I'll see you in the next video.